welcome everyone. Welcome to another episode of On the Air with Tim and Ken. Ken, as always, it's good to be back and good to see you. How you been?
Good, Tim. It's great to be back for another episode. Episode 31.
Unbelievable. Yep, right in the middle of World Cup, and good to see it. We got a lot going on as usual. And before we get started, Ken's going to walk through quite a few what we call quick hits tonight. He's got a lot of good information. Some of it he's preview with me. Some of he's going to surprise with. I'll hear it for the first time too. But before we do that, I want to again thank John Carroll Advertising. They've been fantastic with the billboard up here in the Boston area on Route 1, Plainville area. So, John, thank you again. Fully appreciate your support.
Yeah, John, thanks again. We do really appreciate it. And we actually got a message from Paige, who found us on the Route 1 billboard. So she messaged us on episode 30. We hope she comes back for episode 31 and has told all her friends and family. So it's really
that's
really humbling to hear. So
thank you, Paige, for reaching out. And if you're in that area, go down to the Red Rooster, get a great meal and a drink, and maybe you'll see John there. He's a great guy. He'd love to talk to you. So, Ken, let's get started with some of the quick hits. I think you told me you're going to tee us off with a LIV Golf update.
Well, we started our podcast career talking about LIV, and we're going to outlast LIV Golf. And I'm not sure we thought that was going to be possible, but so there's this on July 8th, LIV Golf had to comply with the Warren Act, which is a notification act if you're a company with over 100 employees that you intend to do some kind of substantial layoffs in the next 60 days. So on July 8th, LIV informed their 300 employees in the US and UK that there could be future layoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They're apparently seeking $250 to $350 million to continue moving on in investment funding. They have 4 tournaments left.
Yeah.
1 in the UK, 3 in the US, with the last one ending on August 30th. So I think we'll know probably a little bit after August 30th, what the future, if there is any, of LIV Golf. And, if they didn't have a rough enough week, they're also being sued. And you can't make this up. So there's these 2 English golf companies who are suing LIV Golf, the Saudi Investment Fund, and others.
Okay.
For somewhere between 210 million and 630 million. And they're claiming that they came up with the idea of the World Golf League, and that they came up with the business plans and the financial models that LIV Golf based their tour off of. Now, Saudi Investment Fund lost $6 billion.
They should send them a thank you card that they stole it, allegedly stole it, and they ran with it, and thank them.
I mean,
can't make it up.
You can't make this up. And they have no money.
So good luck with that. We'll try to watch that. Good luck with the lawsuit. That's a great little story, but boy, like you said, things going from bad to worse. What's the bad news here? The whole league could be folding, but wait, it gets worse, right? Unbelievable. But you mentioned something about, right before we went on, you mentioned something about LeBron James and shoes and golf, and help me out with that.
So I'm hearing LeBron's become very interested in golf, and he has become an avid golfer. And we all know he's got apparel as part of his brand. And he had a custom set of golf shoes made for Nelly Corda, who's the top U.S. women's player and probably the top women's player in the world.
Yep.
And he gave them to her just before the U.S. Open. And after 6 holes, Nelly was 1 over. She ditched the shoes and she put her regular Nike shoes back on. She played the remaining 66 holes in 9 under and went on to win her first U.S. Open. So congratulations, to Nelly on her first U.S. Women's Open.
Did she comment about the shoes? Did she comment about it?
No, I mean, I don't think she did. I think
it was just verbally. She did physically, yeah. Her action.
I think, all players have their equipment that they like, where they're all finicky. And I think, LeBron's heart was in the right place, and it was a nice gesture, but probably not meant to be worn at a major for the first time. So
interesting. All right. Now I know we're going to get into some baseball tonight. You got a little quick hit on some baseball. Kind of a long game. You mentioned that went on. It's a collegiate game.
So the College World Series was back in early June when we were off for a little bit, so we couldn't cover this real time. But in the second round of the NCAA playoffs, the University of Cal Poly traveled to West Virginia and then played best 2 out of 3, with the winner going to the World Series in Omaha. And in the opening game, West Virginia won 12-2. Second game, Cal Poly goes up 1-0. West Virginia goes on to score the next 17 runs. They're up 17-1, top of the 8th inning, and a storm comes in. Now, to be fair, what I read, the storm was pretty severe, and there was an hour and 38-minute rain delay.
Wow.
Now, did anybody think of canceling the game? Did anybody care? Nope, they waited around till after the rain delay to finish the game. I mean,
wow.
Why not just call the game, right?
Yeah. Throw the white flag to end it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's not too many direct flights from West Virginia to Cal Poly.
And they weren't waiting on the tarmac for him, right? Wow. Hour and a half delay, that big lead, and there they are waiting around. Wow.
Well, cancel the game, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Even don't they have the mercy rule? Like if it's more than 10 runs or something?
Say with radar, weather radar, they know what these things are generally going to be and so forth. They know what they're facing for storms and the time. And like you said, 18-1. The mercy rule, something. All right.
And maybe if they only scored 11 runs, the game wouldn't have been interrupted.
Yes, they should have called it early before the rain, but at some point, right? All right. Why do we got a little segment here? Why we love sports? Why we hate sports?
So we have another edition of Why We Love Sports and Why We Hate Sports. Why we love sports. In South Yorkshire, England, there's a 93-year-old soccer referee, Frank Foster, who still referees 3 matches a week.
Wow.
He's reffed over 5,500 matches over 46 years. He credits his longevity to healthy living habits and healthy diet. He referees men's, women's, and children's game. He's a military veteran.
Wow.
He apparently is tough on the players. He believes today's officials are too soft.
Old school.
And if people act up, he throws the yellow card right at them.
Wow.
So
God bless him.
Yeah, what a great role model, right? Like 93, like I'm considerably younger, and I don't think I could, I don't want to work 3 days a week. Nevertheless.
Right. But we've got a taste of some real soccer, some incredible soccer, and you see what's going on. It's you got to be physically fit without a doubt. And the referee, it's super tough on, because up and down that massive field for 45-minute halves nonstop. It's quite an undertaking.
What a great role model for some of those younger players that, he's officiating their game, right? Like it's, he's out there doing it.
Full respect. Good for him. Keep going. That's great.
Yeah.
Why do we hate sports?
Why do we hate sports?
Limited to one story.
The Carolina Hurricanes won the 2026 Stanley Cup. Now, we don't hate them for that.
No, that's great.
Congratulations to Carolina. Each winning team is allowed to put 55 names on the Stanley Cup that are there permanently. It's traditionally for the players, the coaches, management, the essential front office.
Yep.
But no, Carolina Hurricane owner Tom Dundon decided to add his name, his wife's name, his 5 children's name. Among the people admitted were defenseman Joel Nystrom and longtime equipment manager Bobby Gorman, who has been with them since they were back at the Hartford Whalers.
Wow.
I would have thought Commissioner Bettman may have stepped in. He has stepped out. He has decided not to get involved. It's up to the team who they want to put there. But what a slap in the face, really, to everybody, to the cup, and to what it's meant to all those players. And if you do watch a little bit of hockey, if they haven't won the cup, they won't touch the cup. Like there's this, they treat it like
it's the Holy Grail.
The utmost respect. It's sad.
They'll have to look at that and put some limitations on that, because it could even go further off the rails in disrespect and lose what it's all about. It's all about the team, the core organization, the people that really put it together. That's my opinion of what it's all about. That's who won the cup.
Yeah, I'm okay with the owner, but hopefully, the wife and the kids will say, these guys should be on it before us. And I don't know how old his kids are, whether they're adults or young kids.
And that's the first, as far as we know, something to that level. Yeah.
That's the first I've heard. I mean, these are, stories we read about.
We would have heard it more if it was more recent, something like that. But all right, so a little bit in my opinion, only my opinion, to some extent, tainting the cup. But hopefully the players don't feel that way. They'll play just as hard, and the teams will work just as hard every year to get that cup. So, but good story.
Absolutely.
Good story finding that. All right, now you got a stadium, MetLife Stadium. What you got a little nuance there.
So MetLife Stadium, where the World Cup has been played, it's the stadium in just outside New York City, where the Jets and Giants football teams both play. They have played there since 2011.
Yeah.
They're hosting the championship game on Sunday. They also hosted a quarterfinal game, a round of 16 game, and Norway beat Brazil 2-1 in the round of 16. With that win, Norway has won as many playoff games in that stadium as the New York Jets and New York Giants have combined.
There you go, New York fans.
So in 14 years, the New York Jets and Giants combined have won one playoff game at that stadium.
And the Knicks winning this year doesn't wipe all that out.
It does not. So
that's a great piece.
And we have two teams,
right?
28 years if you add them together, right? Wow. And they won one playoff game.
Wow. Yeah. Very good.
And football's coming up. Spring.
Yeah. Maybe they can double that this year. Win a playoff game.
So that just to end with MetLife, the final Sunday. It's a grass field that they put in just for the World Cup tournament. And after the tournament's over, they're removing the grass. But no, the World Cup thinks they can profit off this. So they're going to sell squares of grass, 17.5 by 17.5. Now, they have not said whether that's inches or centimeters, and they're going to sell that grass for $450 a piece.
But
I got my ruler. I got my ruler to measure. I figured I'd go down there with a pizza cutter, and just hop on the field after the game.
Bring a lot of cash.
Bring some cash. So I don't know how they're going to pack it.
Right.
I don't know whether you can get it on Amazon Prime but I'm sure it'll work as well as the ticket sales, which have been a mess. I mean,
well, I got to believe that the winning team's fans are going to be buying that field. I assume.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And how do you know ahead of time where to cap it, right? Somebody going, we only have 3,000 of these to sell, right? They're going to take orders for 8, or 8,000, right? Tim, you can just cut up your backyard and just start.
Someone's going to raise their hand and say, "I want to buy the whole field."
Right.
I'll keep it intact and I'll transport it back home to the winning team's country, and
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I want the square where the winning kick was,
yeah, 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 yeah.
So,
That
so
may
Tim,
start
we talked
a
last,
trend too.
uh,
You
what's
know,
that?
that may start a trend throughout a lot of other sports now if they see big money coming in on that. You know,
Well, I think they've done that. Like, didn't they do it like at the Boston Garden sold seats or something
well,
when they
yeah,
when
they
they
did,
tear
they
that
did,
down? And
but that's not like every year. Obviously, that's
no,
one every generation. But they did. They sold seats and pieces of the floor and things like that. Yeah, but but I can see these fields going every year or every and incentive. Hey, what can we tear out of here this year?
well, the governor of New Jersey is very upset. She wants to know what the state's cut is of this.
Of course, yeah.
We get charged sales tax on it. Like, I mean, like,
Agricultural tax or something. I mean, they'll get their money. They always do. Good
so
story though. We'll be watching
so
for it on Amazon or something, and maybe we'll get a 17 and a half by 17 and a half, and with my gardening techniques, it'll be brown grass within a week, and then what, right? Let's see how that goes. All right.
So we talked last episode about the lawsuit with our alma mater, Quinnipiac, being sued by the rugby
Yeah.
team because they were reduced from Division 1 down to club. What's going on with that, Tim?
Yeah, and like you said, it's been a very successful program that the women's rugby team, they won I think 3 national championships in about 10 seasons. So obviously a very good program. And like Ken said, that they announced they're going to go from Division 1 down to club. And so the lawsuit got filed, and they were the players got together, and the name of the case is Perez versus Quinnipiac, and the case was heard by Judge Carrie A. Dooley. She's a UConn graduate, so she knows Quinnipiac very well, I assume. She's from that area. She heard the case on a temporary restraining order to stop that from happening this season. She issued a very lengthy memorandum decision, 25, 30 pages, a lot of detail in it, but she denied the players' request to keep the team intact for the season. But I'm going to read to you what she wrote in the decision. I thought this was an interesting point. I don't know if it's going to change the future or have any impact, but and just so you know, to get a restraining order like that or a temporary restraining order, the bar for Perez for the players to do that, it's a very high standard. You got to show the likelihood of success on the merits of the case. And if it's a gray area, you don't get it. You got to really show that you really got a rock solid case, that you're really going to likely win this lawsuit on its merits. That's a very high standard at a preliminary level because you don't have the time, the energy to go through all that discovery, depositions, to lay it all out. You don't have time for all that. So that's a very high bar, and they couldn't get there. But Judge Dooley, she was very thorough, and she wrote, the court does not reach this conclusion lightly and recognizes the hardship visited upon the student athletes on the women's rugby team as a result of the decision to offer only club status women's rugby. And this is the important part. In an effort to mitigate that hardship, the court intends to issue a condensed case management schedule with an aim of bringing this case to trial as quickly as possible, with the goal of hopefully having a decision before next season so that next year, if they're successful, the team would be intact, Division 1, things go on. Now, obviously, I don't know it's not going to happen this year. If you're a player on that team, a junior or senior, or any level, you're going to be distraught, and it's a big life decision. Do you stay? Do you go? Do you have time to go to the school? If this is a big part of your life. So for those women, it's still a major loss. The judge thought a lot about the case because with those words, I believe she thinks there's a lot of merit to it, but to get to that level of making it happen this year, she couldn't quite get there. But she recognizes what's involved. So personally, I'm disappointed by the university. I didn't think they did a good job in explaining why they're making this decision. Obviously, it's about money. They didn't convince me, but I don't make those decisions. So let's see what happens. And unfortunately, I was kind of rooting for the women's team to be in place for another season.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough loss. I mean, I feel for them. I mean, it's I think their budget's like $128,000. I mean,
Yeah.
You're arguing over pennies here when you have a $750 million endowment fund. I mean,
Yeah, and your tuition $75,000 a year,
you
and
know,
so
you're committed to them all
yeah,
these years. They've committed to you. Yeah, I think it's really poor judgment on the school's part, but this is what they chose to try to do. And for what? Well, for what reason?
yeah,
You know?
and if it was inevitable for some financial reason, the way they laid it out wasn't good. To have a sudden stop. There's a lot more to the case, and the coach has been involved. There's been rumors that because the coach has been very supportive of women's athletics and has always allegedly made allegations that the school hasn't always fairly supported women's athletics. So some people think that to go back against the coach, I don't know. I'm not there. I'm just reading what I read. So everything I'm telling you is just alleged. But the case will go on. The women will have a club team. Who participates in it, I don't know. But they may be so distraught. Why bother? And some of them may move on to other universities and see what happens. So
Too bad.
It's too bad. Yeah, obviously I'm not happy about that, but that's okay. We'll move on.
So we're going to talk about baseball. And
Yeah.
we're transitioning in the middle, and I know you've got some really high quality baseball up there in the Massachusetts area. That not pro baseball, but you've done a lot of. I think you've been to some over the years, and
A long time ago as a kid, I've got to get back there. So what Ken's referring to is the Cape Cod League. It's Cape Cod League started loosely back in 1885. It was formalized back in 1923. Cape Cod's a big summer resort. People from all around the country, especially the Northeast, come to Cape Cod, spend a week or two, or whatever they do. It's big in this area. It's a beautiful spot, and they have the Cape Cod Baseball League. So it's a men's baseball league. It's all collegiate athletes, NCAA college baseball players. They have to get there by invite. They don't get paid. There's 40 teams. There's 10 teams. There were originally 4 teams. Chatham, Falmouth, Hyannis, and Austin. Well, those are the original 4. It's expanded over the years to 10. And in 1965, the NCAA sanctioned all that. So that's why the connection to the NCAA collegiate baseball players. They have a great schedule. The tickets are free. So that's very refreshing. I always try to bring something a little bit unique. Get out there if you have a chance. Good weather. If you're vacation.
That's fantastic. You're up there. Take the kids. Take your grandkids.
Yeah. And here's a little interesting thing I found about it. About 1 in 5 Major League Baseball players have played in that league. So look at the talent level. So that's
amazing.
Yeah. Yep. And so this is an interesting little note. The players come in town for the summer. They get jobs. Most of them they run baseball clinics for kids, or they work in a restaurant or whatever, and they play ball at night. Whatever they do to get by. But they also have the benefit of what they call host families. People let these students come in, or these athletes come into their home. And the cost they have to pay. So the families meet these, and the cost is usually $90 to $125 a week. The players stay at the house of the family for the host, but the host has to provide some interesting things. They have to. It includes access to the refrigerator, some food, access to laundry, and refrigerator space. So these kids, they have to wash their own uniforms. So it's really old school stuff. They have to maintain their uniforms. They're just high school players, and they got to take care of themselves, and they got to pay these families about $100 a week, and they have to have access to a laundry facility. It's kind of like college, I guess. It's really neat, and if you go into it, a lot of the families have had now lifetime friendships, relationships have been built from that, and vice versa. So it's just a great story. If you want in the area, there's 10 teams. 40 games throughout the season, great talent. The tickets are free. So there you go.
Do they play at one stadium, different stadiums?
No, all around. No,
all over the Cape?
Yeah. So you're not driving, you're not just going to one spot. There's a lot of venues from right near the Cape Cod Canal to the outer Cape. So pretty much anywhere on the Cape, you're going to have a fairly easy access to one of those games. And I think they still use just the wooden bats. So another interesting thing. So kind of a throwback that you don't see too often. And as we get into the Major League Baseball topic,
Major League Baseball is going to be, from a business standpoint, front and center going forward as the possibility of a 2027 work stoppage.
Yeah.
You're starting to hear the owners campaign for a salary cap. That's kind of what this one's going to be about. But, we have a couple quick hits in the baseball world. Several of you reminded me that we missed it in our last episode. July 1st was Bobby Bonilla Day, where he got 25 years of deferred money. He got his check for $1 million that runs to 2035. The Florida Marlins, one of the most financially responsible teams.
Mm-hmm.
They traded Giancarlo Stanton to the Yankees back in 2017. Well, this year, he's going to be the third highest paid Marlin because of deferred money that they owe him. And he hasn't played for them in almost 10 years. So he's owed $10 million this year.
Wow.
There's two guys that make more. So when you're looking at the Florida Marlins salary this year, $10 million goes for a guy that hasn't played for them in almost a decade.
Amazing.
And that just tells you kind of what's wrong with baseball and the salary structure. And then the San Diego Padres were recently sold for $3.9 billion with a B. And one of the bidders was the Golden State Warrior co-owner Joe Lacob. And he put in a bid. The amount wasn't disclosed, but he did admit his bid was assuming that there would not be a 2027 Major League Baseball season. So, the owners are pushing for a salary cap. That's what you keep hearing.
Yeah.
The union has always, waited them out. Yeah. And the owners have always caved. Yeah. And
I think you and I both, well, I won't speak for you, but I think we both, at least I think there'll be some sort of work stoppage. The next season won't start on time. I personally, I don't think it'll go that long. I think the money's too big. The average salary is well over $5 million per player. The owners are making a lot of money. They do want that salary cap in there. Before you get to the numbers on the teams, Ken, I just want to say, since if you don't have the $3 or $4 or $5 billion to buy the Padres or any other team, you can be a baseball owner if you buy stock in the Atlanta Braves. So if that's what you want to do, go for it. They're publicly traded.
I mean, I agree. I think there'll be some kind of work stoppage, but I think they very well could lose the season. I think I don't think the players are going to budge right now. I think, how united are the owners, right? Yeah. The Dodgers have been front and center spending money.
Yeah.
They have access to money that other teams don't have access to. And so,
playoff. I know you pulled some numbers together on that, and if you can lay that out for us on the.
Yeah, we did a quick calculation on the back of an envelope here, and if you look at the 6 highest salary teams at the All-Star game, they have paid, their salaries are a combined $1.75 billion. The combined records are 310 and 266, and currently 4 teams would make the playoffs of those 6.
Out of the top 6.
The top 6. The 6 lowest, all under $100 million. Combined salaries of $534 million. They're 292 and 285, and 3 of the 6 would be in the playoffs. So, you're spending a lot more money, but you're not necessarily getting, a lot more results. Anybody in the New York area can tell you the Mets spending $300 million.
Yeah, I think they've
done nothing but
350. Yeah, they're right up there. I think they're second. The Dodgers have blown everybody out with over $400 million, and Dodgers are stacked, but they, like you mentioned, the Mets, $350 million in salary, and he just went through the bottom 6 all under $100 million. Quite a disparity there, and that's what the ownership has to wrangle with. Obviously, the players don't want a cap; they want the money to flow, and that'll be that's the issue. That's what the issue is. And, you can make an argument that you don't need to spend that kind of money to be that competitive, but.
Well, I mean, it depends how they're going to do it, right? Like if they're going to do it based on, salary allocation, revenue allocation, which baseball's never done before, then it's what's baseball revenue, right? What's the definition of baseball revenue when you have teams that own networks and stadiums? And baseball hasn't gone down that path before, with say, let's split the revenue 50-50 or 52-48, right? Like it's going to be interesting to see because that's where they're going to have to agree on definitions of what is baseball related revenue and does the deferred salaries of all these players now, they're all coming up with these big contracts and deferring money like Bobby Bonilla did, does that count against the current year cap or is that a future? So until they agree on definitions of revenue and
like you said, it's all that TV money, and like the Dodgers have an advantage. Not every team has a network like that and that fan base.
The Yankees have the Yes Network, and the other thing is like when you're having other events at the stadium, whether it's football games or concerts and stuff, and you've got sponsorship for the stadiums, how do you allocate that between the Yankees and the other events, right? Like, so those are the challenges they face until they get it talking the same language and the same definitions. And there's not going to be any movement until they can agree on that.
Yeah. And then on a side note, I know I was looking at some numbers earlier on attendance and viewership. They're doing well throughout the league generally, so that the sport's in a good position from a fan base. And they're getting great support, so that's not the issue. Obviously, it's what Ken talked about, but so that's they're in a sweet spot, and that's why I think what I'll call a work stoppage. I don't personally think it'll be more than 30 days. That's just my hunch because there's so much money. Everyone's getting wealthy off of it. They're not going to want to stop that, but people make decisions. We'll see what happens.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have the 6 teams that are, with these salary caps, there becomes a floor too. So,
sure.
How far are you going to push these teams that are paying under $100 million?
Yeah.
You're going to make them pay 150, and do they have the revenue to pay 150?
Right.
Or are you going to ask the Dodgers to send everybody 20 million?
Yeah.
To help them make. So I think it's similar to the NHL in 2004 and 2005, which that's worked really well since then for the league. But it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, well, Major League Baseball is in a much better position than LIV Golf. That I think we can all agree on.
I think we ended there. I think there's nothing more.
There we go. We wrap it up. Ken, thanks for putting all those numbers together. That was great. Thank you.
Dave, it's great doing this. Great seeing you again. And thanks everybody for tuning in. And when you find these local events in your area, let us know. We'll publicize them.
Yeah.
And we haven't gotten down to Seekonk Raceway yet this year, but
we got time. We'll get there.
Get there.
Middle of July. It's on the radar. We'll get there. Ken, thanks again, everybody. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the World Cup soccer, everybody. It's been something to watch. So.
And follow us on X, Tim Ken Podcast, and we'll be back soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night, everybody.